For this technique, you are going to need some gold leafing. I'm really happy with this Cosmic Shimmer Gilding Flakes because this was, and I happen to have Inca Gold, this was $10. And I don't know if you've ever shopped for gold leafing, that is a really good price. There is an absolute ton of gold leaf in here. So you're going to need some gold leafing. You're also going to need a glossy gel medium. It needs to be thick enough that it'll really hold its body, and it needs to be glossy. And it has to be glossy for a very specific reason. It has to be glossy because when we apply this, it needs to accent the sparkly gold. If you use a matte finish or a white finish or something, if it's not dry and glossy and clear, it's absolutely going to look terrible with the gilding. So I'm using the back of a paintbrush. And we are not going to do this entire tag, and I may have just messed this up. I need to check. I'm going to go ahead and apply this and see. I think I did just lift up my stencil as I started to work. So if that's the case, we start over for this one because it is important to not do that. Let's find out. And yes, so I messed this guy up. Not a big deal. I can still use this for something else. It's just not going to go well for this particular technique. And in looking at the back of my stencil did not get any gel medium on it, so that'll be fine. You want to be very careful that the back of your stencil is really clean, that you're not transferring any yuck. Okay, so let me try this again, and this time without flicking it up. There we go. And we do not want a ton. We want a thin but complete coating, and I am not going to do the entire stencil because what I think would look really cool for this particular design is to have part of this tag have this gold effect, and only part, so not the whole thing. Once you are done, you are very gently going to lift off your stencil, and oh yeah, that's going to be great. Okay, so as you can see, it's just a very light coating of that paste. Now I'm going to take the paper towel I was using and take my stencil and immediately clean it off. I always show this part in my videos because it is so important. And with a stencil like this, you want to make sure that you're going with the pattern so that you don't, if you try to go up and down on this particular stencil, you'll just tear it to pieces. You don't want to do that. Okay, so once that's clean, we can set it off to the side and we're ready for the next step. Now, this next step, this is where things get wild. So I'm going to have a piece of paper for underneath, and actually I'm going to use a larger piece of paper for underneath. And then I've got my gel medium here. I'm going to hit it with the heat tool just for a couple seconds. I don't actually want to dry this, but I do want to just get the dry process started just a tiny bit because I saw a couple areas that were a little thick. The next step, now we hit the fun stuff. We're going to take the flakes, and it's going to look like a ton, okay? Watch how this comes out. There's so much in here, you guys. We're going to take our lovely flakes and drip them on. And it looks like I'm making a huge, huge pile on top, and I am, and that's very, very intentional. And I'm just going to gently use my finger to move the flakes around just so that I cannot, and you guys are right over top with me, so let me get in here even more. You don't see the tag anywhere. Where the flakes are, you cannot see those, you cannot see that tag, and that is very important. Okay? Now we're going to close the lid. You guys, do not leave that lid open, and do not breathe heavily around this because it will whoosh everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. Now, the next step is, I had that smaller piece of paper. We're going to set that over the top ever so gently, and it's going to smoosh out a little bit. It's okay if it smooshes out a little bit. And we're going to press, and I'm going to get a big stamp to help me just press all over. And if a few little gold flaky bits escape and whoosh out the side, that's okay. I am just going to press really hard. And then I'm actually going to take my gel medium And I'll also probably take a couple other heavy things. I just want a really good, and that's not even heavy enough. I just want a really good solid pressure all over this. The one stamp is probably enough just to keep everything pinned down. Now here's the hardest part. We have to allow this to dry however long it takes. So here in my studio as I'm filming this, it's like 10 in the morning. That probably means that not until 3 or 4 this afternoon will I dare to really look at it. I don't think we need to keep the stamp down on here. However, I am, because I don't want to accidentally have this go whooshing and have all that gold fly everywhere. It would be a huge mess. So I'm going to go do a bunch of other projects, and then through the magic of video, you're now going to see the finished result. I'm not actually sure that it's ready. It's only been about 2 hours. However, this was really thin lines. It wasn't big, huge chunks. So I just thought I would take a look. And if you couldn't tell, I'm trying to contain the gold leaf. It gets a little wild and it gets to flying around, and I'm trying to avoid that. So I'm scooping up as I can, and you want to have dry, clean fingers because it will try to stick itself to you. And I'm just kind of working my way down here. I'm using my fingers, and I'm going to tell you that when you're doing this, I think, and we're going to find out here as I rub and reveal the pattern, I think that a simple pattern like this is going to work the best for you. I do not think this is going to work well with a super, super intricate pattern. And the reason that I think that is because, as you'll see, the gold leafing, oh gosh, that's just beautiful. Oh, I love it. Okay, so a couple of things. Number one, the gel medium clearly went off the edge a little bit when I smushed it down. And that's definitely something that can happen. You're not going for perfection here. If you're going for perfection, you need to use a glossy gold medium and not try to do with different mediums as I am here. And you can get in here once you've gotten most of the loose stuff off. And like, there's nothing holding down the gold leaf that's in between here. If you see and you don't think that there should be any in that spot, you can use your finger. You can come in here with a paintbrush and just gently scrub. Oh yeah, the paintbrush is working great. Gently scrub away the loose stuff. Okay, so like for example right there, I don't think there should be any there. However, if you get to a spot and it's just really sticking, consider that the gel medium might have, if it had been a little thick in that spot, it might have kind of shifted. So there might have been like a little bit of a blobby area. And if that's the case, like that's the case up here, your gold leaf is going to stick because there is liquid adhesive there to stick it to. Oh, this is just lovely. I love it. However, if there's not anything there to hold it down, it will come off. Now me, I don't want to get it totally perfect because I think it looks awesome. A little bit messy, just a little bit. And I do put even those tiny, tiny, tiny little bits, I do put the entire thing back. I put everything back because even the little dusty bits, they are fun to work with as well. And then of course, a very, very important rule, we get the lid back on as soon as possible. All right, so here is my tag for you to see. And again, I can come in here some more and do a little more work with it to get any rough spots or odd spots cleaned up. But as I said before, I like the look. I like it to look just a little bit wild, just a little bit messy, and it's dimensional. And it's so much fun. And I've got gel medium here in my stash for a lot of reasons. So I like using the glossy gel for something. And I really like this pattern. I'm going to give my final advice to you is a stencil like this, or the other one that I was thinking about using, the one I think I'll use next is this one. I think these would work great because they're a very solid basic pattern. I also think something like this dot would work really well. The ones that I do not think would work well, I do not think that something like this with just a whole bunch of very specific designs. I also don't think something where, like this, it's very, very intricate, and there's a whole lot of spaces where there's, okay, look at how there's a lot of, yes, it's very intricate, but look how fine the lines between the spaces are. I think you can imagine when you put a little pressure on your glossy medium, it's going to smoosh all over and you're just going to have big blobs. And that's kind of my point. If you're going to just make big blobs, I actually think this one might work okay. But if you're going to get big blobs, it's not, that would be great. Like here, if I put all of this in and then put it all on, there's going to be so much gel medium in all these areas. When I go to press, it's going to spread out and make just nasty, nasty blob. I don't think that's going to work very well. I actually did my first example that I did, my very first trial was with a very intricate stencil, and you can see that it actually did pretty well. However, you see these areas where it's just big, big blob of gold? These are areas where the pattern, where the gel medium did just smush into, just totally ruin the pattern. It didn't do it everywhere. Like the love actually came out pretty good, you know, and this flower came out pretty good, and this flower came out pretty good. But in some areas, this one, this area, this, there's a number of areas where it did not work out very well. So that's why I caution you about a super intricate design or a design where there's a lot of gel medium and not a lot of space. When you give a design that's a little simpler or has more space to it, you're going to have a better chance of success and a better chance that you're going to like how it turns out. I hope you have enjoyed this little tutorial here for gold leafing with gloss gel and stencils. I'll see you next time.